I've only been doing renovation loans since 1993, but I got in the business in 1991 and decided that really to focus my whole business on the renovation platform. In 1993 is when FHA actually changed their program and made it a little bit more user-friendly, because before that it was horrible, the renovation program, the 203K. And actually went to DC for the rollout and really have committed to it my whole career in the mortgage business.
So I love that.
One of the biggest misconceptions I get is that people think it's two loans.
Yeah.
And it's not. It is one loan. It is a regular FHA loan or Fannie Mae loan or Freddie Mac loan or VA loan that does allow renovation. So if there's something wrong with the property, which we didn't talk about again as well yet, but the seller doesn't have to do any repairs.
Well, that's a big deal. Okay, here we are, another episode of Rate of Success. I'm extremely excited. I have the one and only Rick Lapins here. So Rick is our renovation loan officer. So what I thought would be a great opportunity is to sit down and go through renovation lending. It's one of the questions that I get the most. I always obviously refer him to Rick. And I thought it'd be a good idea to kind of sit down and just talk through everything that we go through, a lot of the questions that we get asked. So just wanted to introduce Rick, and I wanted to say how long you've been in the business and a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Eric. I'm relatively new to the business. I've only been doing renovation loans since 1993, but I got in the business in 1991, and decided that really to focus my whole business on the renovation platform.
Yeah.
And in 1993 is when FHA actually changed their program and made it a little bit more user-friendly, because before that it was horrible, the renovation program, the 203K. And actually went to DC for the rollout and really have committed to it my whole career in the mortgage business.
So I love that. And one of the things I always, when I refer Rick out, one of the things I always say is a lot of companies, loan officers will do the renovation financing themselves. And one of the things that I love about our platform here at Rate, and especially having you a part of our office, is you only do renovation loans.
Right.
It's your expertise. It's all you do. So your 100% focus is working on renovation loans. For a loan officer like myself to take on a renovation loan, it's one of the main reasons why people have such a bad experience. And there is probably your biggest struggle day to day is getting past all the noise that in the industry. Oh, well, I did a 203K loan before and it was a nightmare. And so how much of what you do day in and day out is just getting through those misconceptions in the beginning?
Very much most of it.
Yeah.
So, talking to realtors and homeowners who have heard all the horror stories that it takes months and months and months to close these loans, if they close at all.
Yeah.
You say loan officers do both. Nothing makes me happier than when a loan officer tells me, you know what, I'm going to start doing my own renovation loans. Because they'll do one or two. They'll never do another one, but they know enough now to refer them to me.
Absolutely.
So it really makes me happy when they decide to try it.
Yeah. I mean, I love it too, because I feel like, when you have someone you can refer it out to, it's going to get taken care of, and that's their specialty. I think the experience is much better. The realtor appreciates it a lot more. And I feel like the success rate for the client is going to be much higher. So let's just break it down. And the goal of this entire episode of what I wanted, and we spoke about it briefly, but we never really prepare for these things. So we're kind of doing this on the fly here, but I want to kind of break down the basics. Okay. So let's just start on the basis of exactly what is a renovation loan. Okay.
Right.
And what I mean is, purchase price, you're lending over the appraised value. There aren't any scenarios where we lend over the appraised value. Okay. So can you just talk about the basics of what is a renovation loan?
Absolutely. One of the biggest misconceptions I get is that people think it's two loans.
Yeah.
And it's not. It is one loan. It is a regular FHA loan or Fannie Mae loan or Freddie Mac loan or VA loan that does allow renovation.
And just on that real quick, because, and I still want you to answer what a renovation loan is, but do most people think of renovation as 203K and not the other areas?
In fact, even when I'm doing a conventional renovation loan, they call it a K loan, a 203K, which it's not. That's only FHA's version. Because a regular FHA loan is a 203B and their renovation loan is a 203K.
Yes.
Fannie Mae's got its own name, which is HomeStyle. Freddie Mac has its own name, which is Choice. And VA calls it just VA Renovation.
And is the the difference is also the amount of money you can get as well, because FHA 203K is limited on the amount of money.
Indeed.
Okay. And then conventional is completely different.
Right.
And
VA is different.
Yeah. Can you talk about that just real quick, just a little bit of the differences?
Yeah. Main difference is the loan limits.
Okay.
Right. So FHA now has a loan limit of 524,000 or something like that. And conventional is 826,000.
Yeah.
And VA is right there as well.
So that's acquisition cost plus renovation fits into that. So I think that's important as well.
So the description you were asking for is what is the loan amount that I'm working with, right? I don't work with strictly purchase price like a regular loan. I work with acquisition price.
Yeah.
Acquisition price is the purchase price plus the bid for the renovation amount that's going to be done. Plus we add what's called a contingency reserve to whatever the bid is. Right, that's going to be anywhere from 10 to 20%, depending on the program and the work being done.
So you have the purchase price of the house, okay?
Right.
And then you're going to do the renovation costs that you get from a bid of a contractor,
right?
Okay? And then you have that contingency reserve, because as we all know, you start a project and...
I refer to it as oh money.
Okay.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So just in case
you can say, oh, shit money. Yeah.
It's for unforeseen items.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And the cool thing about it is and we'll talk a little bit more about this, is those unforeseen items, if they don't come up, there can be change orders to use those funds for something else, or they reduce your loan amount.
Okay.
Right. So my acquisition cost, again, is the purchase price, the bid, the contingency reserve, which is just a percentage of the bid, not the whole loan. Right. So if your bid's $50,000, we're going to add $5,000 to it, or 10% for contingency reserve.
Yeah.
And we also get to roll in the renovation portion of the closing costs.
Okay.
Those are also financeable fees. Right. So that's my total acquisition cost. My down payment is based on that acquisition price.
Okay.
Not on the purchase price.
Okay.
So in other words, for FHA, you have 3.5% of the purchase price. For FHA 203K,
so let's make sure we hit that home, because I think that's one of the biggest advantages of a renovation loan that's kind of gets lost in all the conversations about who the contractor is going to be and everything else is, as a first-time home buyer doing a conventional loan, okay, minimum down payment is
5%, 3%, depending on the program.
Okay, so huge for first-time home buyers, because that's 3% down on all the work that you're going to be able to do.
They're financing 95 or 97% of the work as well.
Yeah, which is amazing, which I think gets lost in some of the conversations around, Now, I think one of the biggest pushbacks that I've always received forever, which is, where I'm going with this, but is, well, my dad is, really handy, and my husband wants to do the work. And, so how do you handle that conversation? Because obviously, anytime you're lending over the purchase price of the home, there's a ton of risk, okay, from the lending standpoint.
Yes.
And there's a lot of parameters that go into lending when you're lending over the purchase price to avoid issues down the line.
Right.
Not only in where the money's going, but just quality of work, that it's going to be worth what you're doing.
And how quickly it's going to be done.
And how quickly it's going to be done. So can you talk a little bit about that and how that conversation goes? Because I think whenever I mention that to someone, it's always something I mention in the beginning, because you get people that will immediately say, oh, well, I want to do the work. And we're not going to give you $100,000 to do the work. So you can talk about that a little bit?
Right. So, so again, the work has to be done, has to start right away and get done right away. These people have jobs.
Yeah.
If you've got a job, how are you going to do this work too and get it done in a workmanlike fashion? So you have to be a general contractor by trade if we're going to let you even do it at all.
Yeah.
Right. So if that is your main job, then there is a way to do it. But with FHA, the 203K, you cannot have any relationship with the general contractor. It has to be a third party.
Okay.
Or VA. With conventional renovation, it can actually be a parent or a cousin or whatever.
But they have to be licensed.
They have to be a licensed general contractor.
Okay.
Right. It has to be their job. Yeah. You can't just have my Uncle Harry do it because he wants to.
Exactly. Like a side job or something. Yeah.
They have to be a general contractor by trade, licensed and insured, and follow whatever the local customs are for licensure.
Okay. And where do you feel like the biggest struggle is up front? Because I feel like a lot of the decisions. So one of the things I always talk about with clients is, you find a place to purchase, okay, and you want to do X amount of work. you have to make a lot of decisions on X amount of work pretty
Upfront.
quickly.
Yes.
There's a segment of people that can make quick decisions on those things. And there's another group of people that have a really hard time because they can't visualize, so can you talk a little bit about that scenario? While also maybe even considering if you're one of those people where you don't feel like you're going to be able to do that, the opportunity to refinance, because a renovation loan is not just for purchase.
Correct.
It's on a refinance. So can you talk a little bit about those two differences and when it makes sense to do one or the other?
Yeah. So as far as because we need a bid of the full scope of the work that you're going to do, because we're going to give that bid to the appraiser, and the appraiser is going to appraise the property as if it's already completed.
Yeah.
It's going to be future value. That's one of the cool things about renovation, which we haven't talked about. But they don't need to pick out the color of the cabinets or the kind of countertop, but they need a price range.
Yeah.
Right. So it doesn't have to be too specific, but it has to be specific enough.
Yeah.
Right. So they got to say the cabinets are going to be in the medium price range or in the high price range or in the low price range.
Yeah.
Right. It'll just be a dollar amount. It won't be the actual design. So it makes it a little bit easier for people to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And all this work is done after closing. Right. So if there's something wrong with the property, which we didn't talk about again as well yet.
Yeah.
But the seller doesn't have to do any repairs.
Well, that's a big deal because especially in the market that we're in, sellers are not obviously very willing to do repairs, and renovation could almost seem to be a negative in a multiple offer situation. So no repairs is obviously a very big item.
Yeah. So they just have to talk to their general contractor and get a general bid of what they're going to do. If they're moving walls, I need drawings.
Yeah.
Right. They don't have to be the final approved drawings by the city or village, but we need to know where they're moving stuff so the appraiser can appraise the property.
Can you give like a very abbreviated Cliff Note version of what that timeline looks like? So I introduce you to a client. They've identified a house that they want to. Can you just really briefly talk about what that looks like so people have an idea of kind of what that process looks like?
Right.
So I call you, I refer you, you reach out, and then kind of what that looks like real quick.
The first thing I say to somebody is find a general contractor. You need to get somebody as soon as possible. That's what.
Do people ask you for contractors?
Every time. Almost.
Yes. Okay.
And we're not allowed to refer out general contractors.
And why is that? Just so everyone knows.
It's for a risk basis.
Exactly. Okay.
It's because we would be responsible for referring somebody. We just can't do that. I would actually lose my license if I referred somebody.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I tell them, go find a general contractor right away. Now, with most of the programs, we also have a consultant involved. This consultant can also go out to the property and basically do a bid for them. They're not going to do the work, but they're a cost consultant.
Now, will we use the cost consultant in place of the bid?
Yes.
For the initial review?
Appraisal?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And the contractor will have to sign off on that cost consultant's bid.
Okay.
Right. So that cost consultant can go out before the contractor, with the contractor, or after the contractor.
And correct me if I'm wrong, the cost, they're also verifying that the work is being done through the contractor is going to increase the value of the home, correct? Is that?
That's not necessarily their job. That's what the appraiser will come up with. They verify value because we don't want a general contractor coming in with a price that's too high and taking advantage and maybe fraud or too low and trying to buy a deal and not be able to do it under that price range.
Yeah.
So if a contractor come out, it's a $50,000 project, and they come in, I can do it for 30.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to get it done.
Yeah.
So this way we have somebody saying, look, this is actually the range where it needs to be. Your pricing's too low. It can't be there. Or your pricing's too high. You're taking advantage.
And again, to go back to the timeline, I apologize. It's just so many questions. What does that look like from the time I refer you to the time, so how quickly can that work without, because I think the other problem that we have is everything happens so fast right now with properties and, clients. You're doing a renovation loan. They get overwhelmed because you're throwing all this stuff on them. Now you're adding a renovation loan on top of it. So what does that look like to someone entering that for the first time?
So on a purchase, I typically tell people, get a 60-day closing on your contract. Do I close them quicker? Absolutely all the time. Do I close them in 35 days? All the time.
Yeah.
But there can be little things that could push it back, mostly general contractor issues. So the first thing I say to somebody is find a general contractor and have them fill out our validation package because we got to check that they're licensed and insured.
Yeah.
We do a background check on them. If a general contractor is delaying that process at all, if they're not turning that in right away, I'd bet 70% of the time they're not going to get approved, and that's why they're not turning it in.
Yeah.
So we need to get that general contractor's validation package all the way. And they hate paperwork.
Yeah.
So you got to push your general contractor to give me their validation, their license and insurance. Get the bid. If I get the bid within the first week, I'll close you in 35 days. As long as you do everything else right, like the rest of the loan, and give me your bank statements and pay stubs.
And I think that's great for people to hear that. And it's the main reason why I wanted to, because one of the misconceptions is like, oh, it's going to take 90 to 120 days and the seller doesn't want to wait that long.
And it can. If the general contractor pushes you back and delays you, that's what pushes it back typically. And there's also little things that loan officers miss that we, me and my team get, done.
And I think you mentioned the background check and contractor not doing. I think one of the things I always say, and I just would love your take on it, is people don't like the fact sometimes that I got to use this license and bonded contract. I'm going to pay more money. And my response always is find someone that did a side job with someone that had a bad experience and talk to them and ask them if they would have preferred this way of doing it.
Right.
Because I can't tell you, I've been in the business 20 years. I can't tell you how many times someone calls me, okay, a past client of mine, where they have, a contractor that they hired as a side job to do their kitchen.
Right.
It didn't work out.
Didn't use permits.
Now they're selling the house, or, who knows what the scenario is, okay? And now they're asking me for help because they need an equity line. They need more money.
Right.
And what the process you're talking about, it's not foolproof, okay? But it's going to weed out 95% of the issues.
It's definitely helpful.
Or someone taking your money. I've had this happen to a client where someone gave someone $10,000. They never showed up again for a deck.
I hear that.
And they were calling me. I've had people refuse to pay a contractor, get a lien on the house because they were in a disagreement of the work being done, and then they had to get an attorney. So, is that the same kind of talk that
Absolutely.
you have? Okay.
Don't do things without permits.
Yeah.
Something I say to every single person.
Yeah.
Pay the extra, get the permits, because you can get it. City can come in and say, look, you got to remove this.
Yeah.
Get a licensed general contractor. It's going to save you money in the long run.
100%.
It may seem like it's going to cost you more. There are certain things that you can maybe leave out of your bid, like finishing the painting if you want to do that yourself, but why?
Yeah.
You don't want to live through construction more than once.
Well, I think anybody who's been through construction,
where
they've done a kitchen remodel and they have kids, they will always tell you, like, their second time around, they would always do it different, because when you're living out of a bedroom for your kitchen, like, that's, you tend to then find someone that can do it quickly. I always say, like, you only paint once. Like, when you hire a painter and they're in and out in one day, you're never going to go back and paint again, because it's an experience that you want to, because it's one day of discomfort.
Or redoing wood floors, having the dust everywhere.
100%.
It's crazy.
Yeah, 100%. So I think there's a value to that. I just wonder how much that's a part of your discussions when you're...
Always.
Okay.
People say, well, we're going to do this stuff down the road.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that. I'm like, don't. Do it now.
Yeah.
Finance it now. Have the home of your dreams now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the whole goal, is to get it done right now, so it's move in, so you don't have to say, how am I going to finance it later?
Yeah.
Because you know what? What are you going to do? Put it on credit cards? Or are you going to, try and figure it out? Do it now. Get it done. Have it there for your value.
Yeah.
And it'll make your life that much better.
So what do you think your biggest objections are once you lay out your everything? Like, what are the biggest concerns that come out of once you kind of go through those initial conversations? I refer you, identify the property, go through everything. What are those objections that you feel like, people need to really rethink about, because they're maybe not making the best decision after they go, whatever that misconception is?
So people in this market, there's limited housing out there.
It's kind of a blessing and a curse in renovation. It's a blessing in the sense that then more homes need renovation. It's a curse because the multiple offers make renovation difficult. Is that accurate assessment?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So it really expands the market for the amount of homes you can look at.
Yeah.
And you basically can get like a new construction. You make things your colors, your design.
Yeah.
You can have this home the way you want it. But people have issues with, oh my God, it's not something that I know, or the realtor talks them out of it.
I wanted to get to that too.
Because they feel like, oh my God, it's not going to close. I'm not going to get this done. We've got to get past that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, what I always say is that I'll have realtors that will talk people out of renovation. Okay. but they'll show that same person 20 different homes, lose out on 10 offers,
Right.
and get frustrated. And the buyer decides not to purchase and rents another year, and they're frustrated. Where the same time and energy they spent on that
Could have been right.
they could have done
the right way
on maybe not the perfect home, but then finding a renovation opportunity. Now, on that though, I wanted to ask you one thing. Do you think the opportunity though is also maybe not the resale market, but actually renovation on their current home?
It is. It's huge.
Yeah.
So renovation for refinance. So I work on after improved value, even on a refinance. So if somebody has a home and they've got no current equity,
Yeah.
I still might be able to lend it to them.
Yeah.
So if somebody has a home and you want to do a home equity loan, you're typically capped out at 80% loan to value for a home equity.
So you're going
There's some that
exactly
go
where
up.
I wanted you to go to
Right.
on this, because there's a lot of times I don't have opportunity. They want to do home renovation,
Right.
but they put 5% down 2 years ago, and we don't
Exactly.
have the equity to do that. And that's where a renovation loan can,
Right.
Yeah.
So I can lend up to 95 or 97% of future value,
Yeah.
right? It's not considered a cash out refinance. So currently you have no equity. So you got a place that's worth 400,000, but you're going to build an addition or you're going to do whatever. And it's going to be worth 600,000. It's creating, I can lend on that future equity,
Yeah.
right? My appraiser is going to appraise it as if that job is already completed.
Yeah.
And with the FHA 203K, here's something really cool, is I can use 110% of after improved value.
Yeah.
So my underwriter, if the appraisal comes in at 400,000, my underwriter is going to put it in the system at 440.
Yeah.
So I've got extra equity that I can use to get these projects done.
And a lot of times what I see is I'll have clients that will call me, they've lived in a house 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. They'll do a new furnace because all of a sudden it's the middle of winter. They do financing through the contractor. They're paying who knows what, okay, because it's a personal loan. Then, they decide they're going to do some other work. Then they decide they're going to do a wood floor. Then they want to do, and before you know it, they're stacking up all these different things on credit cards, personal loans, because again, contractors get really creative. Like if you're with one of these big contractors, you can finance that 24 months. Nobody pays it off in 24 months or, they always got financing options because that's the way they make money. And then before you know it, they've stacked up all this debt. Okay. And it's not a part of their mortgage. Okay. And their refinance options for that debt are very limited.
Right.
Okay. Especially if they're not going to sell. And even in some cases, they don't have the equity that they thought they do when they borrow all this, because it's more maintenance items a lot of times I see than it is like cosmetic. Okay. So in that case, is that a renovation opportunity where, they could have a little bit more of those funds to be able to improve the value of the home, avoid those big cost ticket items down the line?
And some of those items might not improve the value of the home.
Well, yeah, that's the part that I see. Yeah.
But I can still go to 95% of future value or even current value, where a home equity is going to take you to 80, maybe 90 if you're paying real high.
The two big ones I see are windows nowadays. People are because they get sold some energy efficient tax credit or something with windows. I don't know the details, but it seems that solar panels, which I won't even get into. Do you deal with any of that?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, God. Solar panels are the bane of my existence from a resale standpoint.
Right.
Because a lot of the companies are out of business. So it makes that hard, but that's a whole nother, we could do another hour on that. But the big things I see are windows, heat and air conditioning, kitchens. Okay. And then, what was the other one? Oh, windows. I don't know if I said that, but I see that all the time where people are trying to extract money to get those things. But couldn't they do all of those?
They could. And one of the issues that I have is people call me in the middle of a project because they ran out of money.
Yeah.
I could still help
you
them.
and I have handled some of those calls.
I could still help them, but you got to stop construction.
Yeah.
You said, you come to me in the middle of a project, you're going to have to stop where you're at.
Yeah.
And wait till we close our loan to get it going. Whereas if you did it up front and had the money there and planned it out on a refinance, it's
I think
amazing.
From a consumer advocacy standpoint, there's a lot of these contractors that don't care about the long-term impact.
They don't.
To a lot of these consumers. It's sell the job because they typically have a bidder that comes out, sells a job. Oh, you don't have financing. We'll provide financing for you. Oh, if we don't get you on the schedule, you're going to be 60 days out.
Right, exactly.
And then, they get them on the schedule, and then before you know it, they have all this debt that, whereas if they took the time to take a step back and said, hey, over the next 3, 4, 5 years, I want to do these projects. I'm going to reach out to Eric or any lender.
Right.
We're going to discuss a renovation loan, and we can now do this. I think personally, in the end, they would end up with a much lower overall monthly payment, okay, with everything all encompassed. Probably more tax advantages because it's on their first mortgage instead of a bunch of personal loans.
And like you said, with that other financing, you can't roll it in ever unless you're doing a cash out refinance, which is a whole other set of rules if it's allowed.
And I just wish there was a better conversation around this on the refinance side.
Right.
Because I just see to it, I see after the decision's already been made, and then I'm trying to refinance a bunch of that, which it doesn't make sense to do. And we don't have any options.
Right. So we can do big projects. We can do small projects.
Yeah.
Right. There's really no minimum amount of work or almost no maximum amount of work.
Yeah.
Right. There are a few things that you'd run into, a few limitations, but not really.
Any other misconceptions that you see often outside of, obviously, Realtor talking them out of it? What do you think the biggest reason Realtors have? Is it just bad experience from kind of what we talked about before with another lender who didn't know what they were doing?
That or just the fear of the unknown.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And, the interest rate's a smidge higher for renovation loans than it is for a non-renovation loan. So sometimes I'll get that as a negative thing. But in the long run, it's so much cheaper. The renovation loan is a 30-year fixed mortgage. It is a regular loan, which means you could also refinance it.
Yeah.
After 6 months.
Yeah.
Right. So it is a regular FHA, conventional or VA loan.
Okay.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about, kind of the, how do they determine debt to income requirements the same? So like when you get your acquisition cost, you're looking at, what that payment is. Is there any consideration made to, one of the things I always talk about is comfort level.
Right.
So like someone may want to do $100,000 worth of work and you can approve them, but is there a lot of consideration to say this is what your end payment's going to be? And
so it's a conversation I always have with somebody.
Yeah.
I was like, here's what I can approve you for, but really, what do you want your payment to be?
And I think that's important too, because that's a conversation that's not going to be had when you get personal loans.
Right.
They don't care.
Right.
You're approved. They'll approve you in an hour at 14, 19%.
Right.
And then, there's no payments for 12 months. It's, the whole thing.
It seems great.
And I think there was a stat one time that a lot of those personal loans for contractors, I don't know if it's still the case, but this was years ago, like 70% of them don't pay off and the interest free. Yeah. Like people just, they get comfortable and then all of a sudden it just builds up.
Right.
Okay. So, how much help does it make a difference? So you're having this third party as a contractor. You also have you involved in the transaction. How much does that help having these other interested parties, okay, that can oversight, a lot of the work that's being done? It's not just a contractor that you're meeting in your kitchen and you're having these other entities, underwriters, everything.
Yes.
How much does that help kind of dictate what we will lend based off of that? And how much do you get bids that come in that we won't do because it doesn't improve the value?
No, that it doesn't have to improve the value.
Okay. So, but do you get bids where you have to go back and say, hey, maybe this isn't gonna, but it doesn't, because it's the future appraised value, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So do you ever get a bid that doesn't match what the future appraised value is going to be?
Yes. Some people will try and overbuild for like a community and it won't appraise out.
Yeah.
Right. At that point, they've got a couple of options. One, they could pay for the overage in cash.
Yeah.
They really want to overbuild.
Yeah.
Or they have to reduce their bid to make it work.
And I think the main reason why I wanted to bring this up is, you've been in this business long enough. You've known realtors that have gone to a listing and they call you.
Right.
And they say, Rick, I don't know what I'm going to do. They've over improved this house and I'm never going to be able to get out of it what they have into it. Now, some people are okay with that. Some people will say, hey, I plan to be here for the next 15 years. I don't care if I over improve it. But other people put themselves in a really bad position where I think, again, the benefit of a renovation loan is you're kind of getting an idea of what the market is and what's going to actually appraise out. So God forbid you get transferred 2 years later and you need to move, you're not stuck with something that,
Right.
you know,
You know what you're doing.
and
exactly.
I think as much as, you know, realtors will push people away from renovation loans, I think if they understood some of these details more and really thought about it, I think they would see like, this is going to help me help them in the future.
Right.
And I'm going to put them in a much better position. I think from a consumer advocacy standpoint, that's the conversation I'd love to see had a lot more.
Absolutely. And something the realtors should understand is it doesn't matter the current condition of the property.
Yeah.
Right. That somebody might come to you with a property and say, I want to finance this property. And you would have to say no.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's got mold. It's got this. It's got that. You know, the roof leaks. You can't do a loan.
Yeah.
I can do a loan in that current state. I don't care what's wrong with the property today, as
Yeah.
long as the bid addresses those issues and all those repairs are done after closing.
And don't you think that's the biggest opportunity in the market? Because when the perfect house comes on the market, in our market, we're still seeing 20 offers.
Right.
But then you have this other property that's over here that's getting cash offers because it's investors and they're
Right.
bidding way under list price. And to market it from a realtor standpoint as a renovation opportunity, not only are you going to yield a higher price for your seller, but you're going to give someone the opportunity to kind of build that equity immediately
Correct.
with the work and make it the way that they want. And I think when you can explain it that way, that's, if I was a realtor, I'd be
Absolutely.
finding those properties nonstop and trying to list those and to try to find buyers that can go in there. Because imagine going in there and having instant equity and building that, because someone's going to buy the house and fix it up and they're either going to rent it or sell it and make the profit.
Right.
Why shouldn't it be a first-time home buyer with 3% down or 5% down?
And to that effect, you also mentioned that investors, we can do these loans for investors as well and second homes.
So can you talk a little bit about what that criteria looks like?
Right. So with the conventional renovation, we can do investor and second home renovation loans.
Down payment for?
Down payment is typically up 20 or 25% of
Okay.
the acquisition price.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
The program actually allows 15%, but with the way pricing has worked and with the new loan level pricing adjusters, it's really not feasible anymore.
Yeah.
Even though the program allows that, it's really a 20 or 25% down payment for investors and second homes. And again, it's fantastic. You know,
I mean, that's huge, because that's a huge misconception that people think that it doesn't fit investors. I guarantee if you asked the 10 loan officers in my branch, I guarantee 9 out of 10 of them would get that wrong. I mean, that just tells you, like,
I talk about it all the time.
and you
with
probably
officers.
send out emails to us all the time.
Exactly.
And you tell realtors all the time, and we're out there telling people that it's not available. Like,
Right.
I mean, that's how these things start.
Right.
And I kind of feel like my main reason why I wanted you on this podcast is I feel like there's so much noise in our industry. Okay. Most of which, and if, you know, you follow my YouTube channel, I'm always trying to, like, you know, I was just talking about the recent Redfin article, and someone was telling me about the Cook County program and all the misconceptions about that. Like, I'm always trying to point this out, but like renovation is like one of those things where, as much as you talk about it, and I've heard you talk about it, for some reason, people just don't absorb the information in the manner that, you know, I always like talk about renovation in a way that I think it's such an opportunity. Why do you think there's just this, I know it's a tough question, but why do you think there's just this disconnect, even in the lending world, even in people that you talk to every day, with renovation? What do you think that is?
It's a great question, because I've spent my entire career educating,
Yeah.
whether it be the loan officers, whether it be the realtors, whether it be homeowners.
Yeah.
I do seminars nonstop. I love talking about it.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it doesn't. I mean, the loan officers I talk to about this, they're like, oh, really? We could do that I just had one just yesterday. And I
Yeah.
talked to her like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, we could do this for investors. Can we do this for investors? I don't know why it doesn't stick.
You know what I think, and I hope that comes out of this when we start doing the videos, is I think you going consumer direct, like, take us out of it.
Yeah.
Like, take out the
Yeah.
friction. I'm being serious. Like,
Yeah.
take out the friction. You need to go consumer direct, and you need to, you know, give it to what the people want it.
Right.
They need it. The problem is we have all these people in between that are talking people out of it. And, you know, because I've seen you do presentations, you do an amazing job. It's why I always love
Thank
inviting you. And I know everybody that's ever had you come present always comes back and says, amazing, Rick did awesome. And again, but yet what comes out of that? Like, not the result
Right.
that we want. So I think the opportunity is go consumer direct. I hope that's what comes out of this, some of the stuff we're going through, because I think the consumer in the current market right now needs strategy, is what I always say. Mortgage strategy is always going to win over fear. And I feel like renovation, okay, is a strategy.
Right. It
you
is.
know, and you have average first-time home buyer age of 38 last year. I mean, amazing if you think about it.
Right.
You have interest rates at or near all-time highs. You have, Florida with, excess of inventory. Okay. You have, Illinois that's 65% below where we were in 2019. Like, you have all this noise. And here you have this product where you can buy a home, do all the work that you want, get the financing into one loan. You have a loan officer handle all the communications, everything. That's something that we need to get out more, and we need to spend more time doing that. And I think, I'm going to challenge you after this podcast that I think we need to go more consumer direct and really get that message out there. And I hope this is a good start for that.
Awesome.
Moving forward.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about, I want to make sure we talk about VA renovation.
Right.
So VA renovation is one of those, as much as you've talked about it, like every time I hear VA renovation, I'm like, why are we not doing this more?
It is an unbelievable program.
Yeah.
Almost no lenders do it.
So can you just props to Rate for doing VA renovation, because to Rick's point, most people don't do it. Okay. Can you just go through like 100% financing?
Right.
So just lay it out, like just the bullet points. If you had just because
Right.
it's shocking, loan amounts, all that stuff.
So we still work with acquisition price for VA, purchase price, renovation, contingency reserve, which is 15% for VA.
Yeah.
No money down.
Yeah.
The veteran can get all this done with no money out of pocket. No money out of pocket for the down payment and for renovation.
Can we just stop there for a second? Because if you think about this for, a veteran, okay, to be able to do 100% financing, okay, think about, it's hard enough to get a veteran to be a homeowner. 1 in 3 people don't even realize they qualify for a VA loan.
Right.
Now we're going to get them a VA loan, okay, which 1 in 3 don't even realize they qualify for. But not only are we going to do that, we're going to help them acquire a property, do renovation, okay, and hopefully work with reputable contractors, licensed and bonded, taking care of our veterans, and we're going to do that with no money out of pocket. Like, that is
Right.
something that every person in our industry should be screaming from the rooftops to help more veterans. And It's just not something that anybody talks about.
Yeah. I mean, most veterans don't know it exists.
No.
It's crazy. And definitely the
It's
realtors.
shame on us in our industry for not talking about it more.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it again, 100% financing. There are some limitations with the VA renovation that you can only do $50,000 worth of renovation, including the contingency reserve. So there's a limitation to it and nothing structural.
Yep.
But it's amazing, if they need a home and they need to put in ramps or they need to make it accessible or they just want to redo a kitchen.
So let's talk, and I don't mean to keep interrupting. I just want to make sure we discuss this, because one of my first renovation loans at our previous employer was a loan for someone who had recently had a stroke, okay? And the family had reached out to me, and they needed to handicap accessible the entire house.
Right.
So basically what they did was because they were now in a wheelchair. So there was the ramp in the front.
Widening doorways.
It was a shower. It was the structure where they could get out of the wheelchair and into the bed. And the renovation financing accomplished all of that.
Yes.
Now, again, everyone loves beautiful kitchens and HD TV, but this was, I still remember talking to, because the family had reached out to me in desperation. They had, it happens to a lot of people. Something happens to mom and dad. They don't have money, okay, or a big savings, okay. This was truly life-changing.
It's wonderful
for them. And I, to this day, I actually still, I talked to this client, probably the husband and wife, it was their parents, but they come to me now and refer me a ton, all because of this back then. So can you just talk a little bit about, because I think that gets lost in this, is especially for a veteran,
right,
to be able to provide that and what that looks like.
It's huge, and it can be done for 1 to 4 unit properties for VA.
Yeah, which is huge.
They can
still at the 50,000 cap though, right?
50,000 cap.
Okay.
They have to move into one of the units. They have to live there. But it could be 1 to 4 units. It really is. I mean, because they're moving to these homes, and again, if it's somebody who is handicapped, they need to get this done. They don't know how they're going to get it done.
Yeah.
But they need a place to live, and they have to figure out how to get it done.
And it can be expensive. So that work can be very expensive because you're essentially redoing a bathroom. Your wife, like, it's not minor work.
Right.
I know some people think, oh, we're just going to put railings in places, but that's not what someone in a wheelchair actually needs. You need to reconfigure the house to give them mobility, or they're going to be confined to some room in the first floor of the house, which can be very depressing for someone in that case, where this gives them where they can live a life.
Right. Yeah. It's just so rewarding to help people like that.
Oh, really, absolutely. And it's a huge opportunity, and something that, again, I think as a community of realtors, lenders, again, most people don't realize that is an option.
Right.
Especially with a lot of seniors now aging in place. You have a lot of seniors where they would typically downsize, but they either have a really low interest rate.
Right.
They, kids don't want them to sell the house. Like, we just haven't had a lot of baby boomers downsizing as we would see in typical markets. Now, that could always change, as markets do tend to change. But I think renovation and this piece could be a huge help for some of these people.
Absolutely. And again, most people don't realize it could be done for a refinance.
Yeah. So let's go back to VA loans. So we're doing 100% financing. Okay. Rates at or near kind of market.
Yeah. I mean, they're
very similar.
They might be up to a half point higher.
What about fees? So do we still offer the no lender fees on VA renovation? Okay. So, but there's also some other fees associated with, having people. Is it a little bit higher than a normal VA loan?
Not by much.
Not by much.
Because you're going to have the cost consultant go out, and you have to have the inspections for the draws for the money.
Yep.
And a title update, which is cheaper, so $150. But so there's really not a lot.
Okay.
We waive all those fees for the VA loan.
And then is there anything on the renovation, on VA renovation loans, that we don't do? Is there any type of work that we don't do? Or
you can't do anything structural.
Okay, so structural would be foundation issues.
Foundation, you can't move a wall that is a load-bearing wall.
Okay.
Right? You can widen a doorway as long as it's not load.
What about like health and safety items?
They absolutely can be done.
Okay, so like veteran finds a place and there's mold, something needs done with mildew or something in the basement. That's all work that can be done, because we do see that a lot.
Right.
Where it's like, it's the perfect house, but yet it has something just because it's been a while.
With the VA renovation, one thing is that the house has to be move-in ready. So the mold issue might be an issue.
Okay.
Is that the veteran has to be able to move in within 15 days.
Okay.
So that's with VA, not with the other renovation loans, but with the VA.
I think that's good though, because that protects them buying something that ultimately, it's kind of what I was getting with the health and safety. Because obviously we want to do everything we can to help veterans. I just think it's an amazing opportunity that doesn't get used enough.
Absolutely.
I know every time you talk about it, like, the light bulb goes off in my head, and then I get away from it. I don't think about it, but it's definitely something I want to talk about more. And again, I hope we can continue to kind of talk with more realtors, make them aware. Listen, VA is one of those things where, I just had a client 2 weeks ago, made 3 offers, and all 3 listing agents reached out to me and asked if they could go conventional. And it just drives me crazy. One was a national relocation company, which they should know better, especially being a publicly traded national company.
Right.
To call and ask a veteran not to go, VA. It's crazy. Like, it doesn't impact anything with them. So having VA renovation as an option is something that we need to push more, and let's commit to doing that moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what am I not asking you? What else do you think in your daily conversations is important to make sure consumers know and understand?
Well, for first-time home buyers, we can do Fannie Mae Home Ready, which is 3% down, conventional. So you have FHA that's 3.5% down, including renovation, 3.5% of renovation. We can do conventional for first-time home buyers or people who make 80% of area median income, 3% down conventional, right? So it's amazing. And if they're at 50% of median area income, we can actually give them a $2,500 grant as well.
Okay. That's great. So what we'll do is on the bottom of this episode, we'll have your contact information and you can always reach out to myself or Rick directly. What is what do you think the most important first step in renovation? Do you identify the property first? In an ideal scenario, do I identify the property first?
Well, that's what's typically going to be, right? Because you're not
Yeah.
necessarily always going to know. Some people know they want a renovation property,
Yeah.
but typically they're seeing one like, oh my God, we should buy
Is
this.
the ideal scenario if someone says, you know what, we really are going to be looking for this diamond in the rough. We want to do a renovation. You know, is it a good idea to get started well in advance and kind of go through the application, go through a lot of this, identify a contractor, you know, have your paperwork reviewed. So then all you're really doing is focusing on just the renovation piece versus
Correct.
all, you know, because do you run the risk, and I'm sure this happens a lot, but you know, I deal with this even when renovation isn't involved. Like I always tell people like, yeah, I can send you a pre-approval in an hour and I can close in 10 days. I can do that for you. Okay. It's not going to be a good experience for you because you're going to feel like everything's just thrown at you, but we can do it. Is it kind of the same for renovation? Like
it is.
You can do it in 35 days and you can jam everything in there. But if you back it out a little bit, it can be a really good experience for them. Yeah. Yeah.
And one of the nice things that we have as a team is we can use the same pre-approval for whether it goes back and forth as a regular loan or renovation loan. We can pass it back and forth and it doesn't have to be dual applications. It's one application.
Yeah. So what Rick's talking about is a lot of times, you know, because Rick only does renovation, I will call him and say, hey, you know, this buyer is interested in a renovation loan on this property.
Right.
Can you give him a call? Rick will give him a call, send out the renovation pre-approval same day. And then that property doesn't work out, you know, hey, they're going to go back to this. I'll hand it back to me. That is the advantage.
Correct.
Of having the team that we do. You know, and I just have all the confidence in Rick. Like, a lot of times I don't even talk to Rick. I'll just say like, hey, you know, Tom will reach out or I'll just send an email. Like we just had an instance where a client saw my sign outside my office, which, you know, that was a first. And, you know, I had a big project and I just texted Rick. I was like, hey, call this guy, see if we can help him out. He had a competing offer, didn't feel good about it, and just wanted to see what we can do. And ultimately, I don't think it worked out, but it was an easy like transition. You were able to call. And even though it didn't work out, I will say this, like the client probably walked away with a really good experience because it confirmed kind of that, you know, hey, his offer wasn't that bad. We looked good because we were able to, you know, have that. And those are the conversations that I think get overlooked sometimes in this space is that, and you're always very good about it. You're never trying to force a deal where there's not a deal. And I think that's really important. And you're always doing what's best for my clients, my realtor partners. And that's why I have all the confidence when I refer you to someone where I think some people in this space are like, they see dollar signs, and they're just jamming it in.
Right.
And, you know, that's not good either.
In this particular scenario, that gentleman was again overbuilding for the area and knew what it was. That's what
he told me
was.
flat out he was. Yeah.
He was like, I know it's only going to be worth $600,000 and I'm going to be spending $800,000. I was like, well, okay, we have a problem.
So one of the things we always do in this podcast is, you know, we kind of talk about, you know, how we got into the business because, you know, no one gets in the mortgage business, you know, by design. It's not like you went to school and you said, you know what, I'm going to be a loan officer. So how did you kind of stumble into the mortgage business?
Interesting question. So my cousin was in the industry.
Okay.
And very successful. He's still in the industry.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was looking for a job. I was, you know, stumbling back and forth, doing this, doing that. And my mom's like, you should go talk to Ron. So I went and reached out to my cousin and talked to him. He's like, yeah, this is fantastic. And I was like, oh my God. And when I started in the business, it's hard for some people.
Yeah.
For me, I was like a duck to water. For me, it was just natural and it just came to me and it was, you know, I've loved it.
What do you think drew you to the renovation side of it versus, you know, because obviously it's not for everybody.
Right. You know, it was a time, like I said, I got into it April 1st, 1991 is when I got in the business. That's the day I started.
Day,
yes.
Yeah.
Jokes on me.
There's a few jokes there, but yeah.
But, you know, and I was doing really well right from the very beginning because rates were dropping back in the early 90s. It was a refi boom. And my branch manager at the time said, you know what, there's this program that FHA's rolling out. Let's go to DC
Yeah.
and check this out. And I think it's going to be a great opportunity. So I was like, I'm in.
Yeah.
And it just, ever since then, it just became my baby.
That's
and
great.
It just differentiates myself to it. You know,
Yeah.
it's a little bit more complicated loan. It's more challenging, which I enjoy.
Yeah.
It's like a puzzle.
Yeah.
So I enjoy puzzles and I enjoy games.
Yeah.
And so for me to be able to figure out how to do things, that makes me happy.
Well, I know you enjoy puzzles because you have a puzzle of mine that we've been working on for quite some time. And let me just tell you, Rick has the patience of, you know, we have a situation with our and do file. And just what you're doing to help this person is truly remarkable. And I think it, you know, again, not every situation's easy. Not every situation is, but the impact that it has on the customer, I know is why you're working as hard as you are. And I just, you know, it says a lot about you, how hard you're working on it. And I always look at it in my pipeline and I'm like, I feel bad because whatever you're making on this is not, idea. I know you're at a deficit at this point. So, versus the time you've put into it. So, but again, that's what makes, but that's what makes a great renovation loan officer versus a good renovation loan officer. So on that, like what if you're not working, what does a free day in the Rick Lapins world look like? What are we doing outside of work?
So I loved playing pickleball.
Okay. So when did you pick up pickleball?
About 2 years ago.
Okay. So like every other middle-aged man,
it's addicting. And I just found beach volleyball.
Oh, wow.
Not beach tennis. I used to play beach
tennis.
Volleyball.
So beach tennis.
Beach tennis. It's so much fun.
So, okay. So is it pickleball on sand? Is that?
Kind of.
Okay. Can you use the same racket?
No, it's a wood racket with about this big with holes in it.
Is this a Midwest thing or is this something?
You know what? The people that I discovered it through are from South America.
Okay.
They brought it here. They're from Brazil.
Okay.
And just really cool people. And I got to them through pickleball.
Okay.
And they're like, we play beach tennis.
Wow.
And it's so much fun.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Okay.
It is just great.
That's awesome. That's interesting. That's the first time I've ever heard that.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever
really
heard that.
An interesting sport. And I love walking on the lakefront. I like biking.
Yeah.
I like hiking.
So a lot of outdoor stuff.
Yeah,
and
very, very
so is that
active.
kind of your kind of way of dealing with all the craziness of renovation financing? You take a long walk on the lake to clear your thoughts. Is that the secret to? So whenever we have a tough file, I just say, I need to find out if you've taken your long walk on the beach before I refer it over. Is that what you're telling me?
Or I might go right afterwards.
Okay. Exactly. I don't send anything to Rick that's easy. So, but I don't think there is an easy.
But that's okay. I love I love helping people.
Yeah.
I really do. You know, people are like, oh, you're doing this, to make the money. I'm like, I'm not.
Yeah.
I really enjoy getting the deal done, creating the deal, designing the deal.
I think if you talk to any successful loan officer, okay, and they tell you they're doing this for the money, they're probably not that successful.
Right.
Because, the money only lasts a short period of time. Now, granted, it's great, when you're successful and you make good money and you live comfortable. That's, but you have to find something else in this business.
Absolutely.
Or it gets really, really old very, very quick.
Yep.
I remember I learned the hard way in the beginning of I just wasn't, I always say, like, I almost care too much at times about the customer, because I'm very, very passionate about it, but it also can get you burnt out really, like you can get, how many people have we known in this industry that did very, very well that all of a sudden, they're done. Okay. Because it's hard. Egos ruin a lot of people.
Yep.
You find ways to kind of keep you in check, but then success, can bring out not the greatest things in people.
Right.
And when you meet someone like yourself that's been in the business as long as you have, okay, it's definitely not about money because, you have to have that other motivation, and I've noticed the more I've focused on the consumer and that side of it, how much more energizing it is. Or when I have younger loan officers and I see how excited they are and them finding their way, that gets me more excited. I made a post the other day because all the loan officers got together without me asking them to, and they were sharing ideas. I was like, oh God, that's really that's the stuff that fires me up.
Right, that's
now.
awesome.
Not, oh, I had this great closing month, it just doesn't do it for me anymore.
Right.
It's all those other things. So when I see someone like yourself that's been in the business for a long time, that still has a smile on your face as you do, this thing about Rick is you get him in a room and you ask him about renovation financing, and you still, even through all the craziness, you still kind of light up about it.
Right.
And you're excited to talk about it. That is not something that you see. I mean, how many times do you talk to a loan officer and they're like, they're just venting to you the whole time you're on the phone with them. But when you find someone that's excited about it, and it motivates you, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So last question I always ask everybody is, if you weren't in the mortgage business and money was not, a requirement, okay, what do you think Rick Lapins would be doing?
Wow.
So I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit.
Maybe sitting at the poker tables more often.
I can. You like poker?
I do.
Okay. Do you play a lot?
Not as much as I'd like to.
Okay. Then we should go do this, because I love playing poker.
Yeah.
I would love to do it. So the problem is you got to spend.
I'm not really good. You might have to teach me the rules.
Well, the thing is you gotta, no, I'm not that dumb. I'm not that dumb. I know what he's up to here. I have a bunch of card sharks for buddies, so I know where this is going. But the thing is you gotta play for so long.
Yeah.
Like the time commitment.
The tournaments. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, even anything, you go and go sit at a cash table. It's you're there for
a day.
It's
4 or 5 hours.
It's not something you go in and out of there for a couple hours.
Right.
And that you got to put your name on a list to get to even sit at the table.
Correct.
It's crazy. Poker's become a business for many.
But I've been playing since I've been a little kid.
Okay.
I really, one of my passions. I really enjoy playing.
So do you ever go to Vegas and just?
I don't go to Vegas anymore. I mean, I used to go 3, 4, 5 times a year. Decades ago.
Yeah.
But now it's all local and stuff like that. And you can
for a while we couldn't even play poker around here. It was so limited. And now, where's your favorite place to go?
Well, I actually enjoy neighborhood, friendly games too. But I'll go to Rivers. I'll go to the card room there and play.
Yeah, they got that new poker room it's nice. Really nice. Yeah. And they got pretty much every level that you can and want to play. So it's funny, when in Florida, I always go to there's a dog track. It's no longer a dog track because they got rid of all the dog tracks. But they have almost the same size as Rivers. They have a poker room, which is 2 blocks from where, our place is. And it's my favorite thing to do. For some reason, that's why I was asking about Vegas. For some reason, I feel more relaxed playing when I'm out of state. For some reason, if I go to Rivers, I'm too close to work.
Right.
I feel why am I here? I should be at work. But for some reason, I get out of state and it's I can enjoy it a little bit more, but I do love the strategy behind it.
Right.
And I think,
and reading people.
I think, being in our business, there's a lot of parallels that I enjoy of just, being at a card table, and just getting your mind away from all that stuff. It can be relaxing. Some people would not view that as relaxing, but I think you and I,
totally.
To me, it's I can walk out of there and just be totally relaxed.
Yeah. And it's like I said, it's strategy.
Yeah.
It's strategy
100%,
and it's reading people, and in sales, you're reading people all the time. And
absolutely.
It's just a great release for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're going to have to schedule the first annual Downers Grove branch Texas Hold'em tournament. After that, we'll put you in charge of putting it together.
All right.
And taking all our money. Well, thank you, Rick. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
It was great
My
conversation.
pleasure. Thanks for
we'll do it
having me.
again soon.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.